immediately trying to say it was her gallbladder and taking messages. They had gotten to the woman that had her son in her home, and they were spreading misinformation, basically saying, oh, it was just her gallbladder, nothing to see here. And Brandy, a year before, had on Facebook outlined, she had a list of what she would want to happen if she had an untimely death. She had been targeted, and her house had been broken into, her bank accounts had been messed with, her website had been taken down, actually about 6 months before her passing. So she always knew that something could happen, and a lot of times I admittedly even thought she was being overly paranoid. But the unexpected did happen, and I jumped in right away to honor her wishes, and she wanted private fundraising and a private investigation, private autopsy. She said her health was, she had good health. She had done a testing for insurance and was in great health. We had seen her 9 days before. She was in great health while she was with us. So I jumped in and tried to honor all of her wishes, and I immediately was met with a lot of sabotage and shady behavior that was happening. I received a phone call day one of me finding out about it. She had passed on the 7th, and on the 8th I found out. And I was told that if I didn't change my fundraising to be only for her son, whom she wanted me to raise, so I knew I didn't need to fundraise to raise him, that if I didn't do that, that some of the big names in the medical freedom movement, and I won't name them now, but if you come talk to me, I'll tell you. But some of the big names in the medical freedom movement would not support the fundraiser unless I changed it to just be for her son. So that basically told me they did not want the private investigation to happen. And I did hire a forensic scientist out of New York, and he was able to get parts of the original autopsy, but they never let him do a full autopsy on her. A lot of sabotage surrounding that as well. So basically, I jumped in. I had to learn the risk. We've had to revamp the website. Brandy and I had met back in 2015 in California when BS 277 was trying to be pushed through. And I met Brandy because I was taking on a rally in San Francisco. And I'd never organized a rally before, and I was in over my head, but nobody else had stepped up. So a friend of mine had convinced me that we should do it. And Brandy ended up contacting me and asking if she could help us get speakers and if she could and speak at it and help support in getting this rally underway. And I welcomed her helping us. And from then on, her and I became really close friends. She was on a very similar mission as I was already, because within the medical freedom movement, we'll often hear they'll say to us, oh, don't speak about vaccines being poison. Just say we need safer vaccines. And I didn't align with that because I felt like if people don't understand the real dangers about vaccines, they're not going to fight for their rights. And they'll bend to the system. They'll get their kids, if they don't know enough, if they're not truly understanding it's a game of Russian roulette, they will succumb to all the pressure that is happening politically. So Brandy and I were very much in alignment with that. And she didn't trust other parts of the medical freedom movement. A lot of them, if you really listen closely, they may be doing good things and they've got, powerful messaging and powerful marketing, but they'll say things like, we just need safer vaccines. They just haven't been tested long enough. That is a huge red flag. They are giving you misinformation, and it's leaving a confusing message for those that are not already, part of this. Dr. Sears is another one out there. He'll give the delayed schedule, and I've met people that followed his advice, and he's known as an anti-vaxxer. They followed his advice, and their child died because of the delayed schedule. And he doesn't vaccinate his own children. Those people are not being completely authentic, and they're dangerous to our movement. They slow down the progress of people waking up to the truth because there's so much misinformation being put out there. So I joined efforts with Brandy. I was way more behind the scenes. I let her do all the speaking. And I was helping her with the grassroots movement of learntherisk.org trying to get the facts out there, the real truth. We won't need to beg. We shouldn't be begging for our rights. We already have our rights. And if you have a public that understands the truth, they're not going to succumb to what these politicians are doing. And so I personally don't believe in going to rallies, and I'll go to rallies, but I'm not there to beg the politicians. I'm usually there handing out Learn the Risk material, trying to encourage other people to get out there and spread this knowledge. I'm not wearing it anymore. One of the quotes that Brandy had in one of her talks was, "We are the army that this world needs." So we can't just take the information and protect our own children, and we can't be begging politicians, because they certainly are not going to change what they're doing. We need to start touching people's hearts and minds in our own community and not being afraid to speak about this issue. I reach out to people pretty much daily if I'm out and about. And if I see a mother that is pregnant or has small children with her, really anybody, I'll try to strike up a conversation and hand them an information card from Learn the Risk. I have them on me at all times. And I just encourage them to research for themselves and that they're in charge. Like if they're pregnant, I let them know, don't let the doctor bully you. It's your child. You have the power. You make the final decision. And so really, I'm just trying to encourage people to get out there and take this knowledge and pay it forward. I have a table full of information cards and postcards and Post-it notes, and I have car magnets. The car magnets are great because you can drive around with it and educate people and then throw it in the car before you lock it up and walk away so you don't get targeted. But I know lots of people that actually keep stuff on their car at all times, and most of the time nothing's happening. I'm not hearing too many. It does happen. Sometimes there's vandalism. And then we have bumper stickers and bags. So I just encourage you to come see me at that table and grab some stuff. The magnets are $20. The bags here are $5. And then I've got a limited amount of T-shirts and tank tops that are $10. And then just by donation, there's tons of cards that you can take now to get you started. Whenever I park somewhere, I leave one in the cars next to me before I leave. If I'm in a restroom, I leave Post-it notes and cards in there. If nobody else is in the room, I will hit every stall. Especially on road trips, I always do that at the rest stops. So I just encourage everyone to pay this information forward, because begging for our rights is just not, we already have our rights. We need the public to be knowledgeable on how dangerous these vaccines are, and then they'll just stop. It doesn't matter what the politicians push through. When someone knows the truth about the vaccines and how dangerous they are not going to put their children at risk. So we really need, we need us to touch the hearts and minds of those around us. And it's not always your family. Honestly, if you speak to strangers, they will listen to you more than your family. I would say 9.9 out of 10 times, I either get a neutral response from someone or they are thankful. I had one lady say to me, "Oh, thank you so much for this. I'm actually late." And it was a lady, she parked next to me, and I saw there was a little baby car seat in the back, and she had just put the baby in. And so I got out and I knocked on her window and I handed her Learn the Risk card, and I gave her a little blurb about Brandy, my friend that, Brandy was still alive at the time, that had, started the Learn the Risk nonprofit and the corruption that she had seen. And I encouraged this woman to research before she takes her baby in next. And she said, "You know what, I'm late for an appointment," which I hadn't booked one yet, and I was just calling the doctor today to book it. And I'm going to look into this now. Thank you. And I have countless stories like that. So most of the time, most people are open to the information. I think they can feel our energy, that we are being authentic and good. And it's an energy thing. Like if you approach someone, they can feel it's different than what you're seeing online. What you see online is paid trolls, basically, that are in there to psychologically scare people from speaking on this issue. In reality, that's not how it is. Most people are open, and if they are pro-vax, a lot of times they'll just look, they just have a dead stare and take the card and walk away. But I've never had a bad reaction. I believe I can connect with people on this issue and at least get them thinking. And even if they give you a negative reaction, it's not the end of the world. It's a planted seed no matter what.